car loan debt is through the roof. If you have a car, you might be lying to yourself, and you need to hear this. The United States is at $1.6 trillion in car loans. That was at the end of 2023. Just 10 years ago, the U.S. was at $900 million. And 10 years before that, it was at $700 million. So from 2003 to 2013, it essentially grew by about $200 million. Then, from 2013 to 2023, it grew by $700 million. It almost doubled in a 10-year period of time. And $300 million of that was in the last 3 years. So let's think about that. In a 10-year period of time, the number of car loans almost doubled from 900 million to 1.6 trillion. Did the United States population double? No. During that time, it went up about 7%. So there's all sorts of factors as to why this has happened, but clearly there's a problem. People are spending too much on cars, possibly even just buying out of their price range. Recently, you've probably seen some of the videos on social media of people showing their car payments and being proud of how much they're paying, which to me makes no sense. And quite frankly, because I've had this discussion with my kids, I realize that there's a simple question that a lot of people cannot answer. And that question is, do you own your car? Most people will look at you and say, yes. But there's $1.7 trillion in car loans. If you have a loan on your car, you don't own that car. The bank can come take that car. You're essentially just renting the car. I wish people wouldn't show their car payments. I wish they would show their title. I'm not going to show you the specifics, but here's a car title. What does this mean? It means I own the car. I paid it off. When I show the key, I say, that's my car. It's my car because I can show the title, which means I own it. It's frustrating when you ask someone that simple question, do you own your car? There's two answers, yes or no. And so many people get it wrong. Yeah, I own that car. Do you have a loan? Yeah, I have a loan. Then you don't own the car. But I drive the car every day. I have the key to the car. It's in my driveway. I own the car. No, the bank owns the car. It's still a line item in your budget. Why am I pointing this out? Because no one's going to be able to get their financial house in order if they're starting by lying to themselves. If you're trying to figure out your budget and where you can save money, and you think to yourself, I own that car, but you don't, it's a line item on your budget. You're making a monthly payment. There are things you can do to get rid of that payment. In 2024, whether or not you believe we're in a recession, people are probably going to lose jobs. And even if we're not in a recession, jobs get lost all the time. Well, one of the best things you can do if you have an emergency fund in case you lose your job is you want the emergency fund to last as long as possible. How do you get it to last as long as possible? You need your monthly expenses to be as low as possible. So if you look at all the things you're paying for, car payments must be through the roof now from what I've seen. $1.6 trillion in loans, they definitely are. So what can you do about decreasing that to help you get your financial house in order? These are things people don't like to hear because they love their cars. Trust me, I love cars. I've had many, but there are a couple things you can do. You can sell the car and buy a cheaper car. Now you might be underwater, meaning you might owe more on the car than it's worth. So you got to do the math and say, hey, does it make sense to get rid of this thing and get something cheaper? If you go cheap enough, chances are it probably is. Second thing you can do, you can actually refinance your car. Now, why would you do that? Well, let's say you've got a year or two left on your car, and maybe it's a $500 or $600 a month payment. You can actually refinance the car, let's say for 4 years. Downside, you've got 4 years to pay off your car instead of 1 or 2. Upside, you have a lower monthly payment. What I would suggest to cover yourself and use it as an insurance policy is if you refinance and you go from $500 to $250 a month, then now, if you do lose your job, you only have to make a payment of $250. I would go ahead and keep making the $500 payment. Put it to principal. When you do the math, you're going to pay a little more, but not a lot more, because you're still going to pay it off quickly because you're making a $500 payment, but you're only obligated to $250. So sometimes refinancing can be part of a plan. Third thing you can do, you can pay it off faster, right? Make extra principal payments. Look around. What do you have? What can you sell? Take that money, put it to the car, get rid of that car payment. Now, once you've taken care of that car, here's something that drives me particularly crazy. When someone says, I just made my last car payment. I think to myself, that's awesome. You now get to enjoy that car with no monthly car payments for as long as that car will go. And they look at you and they say, no, that's an old car. I need to go buy a new one. The moment they make that last payment, they turn around and go buy another car. If you want to get your finances in shape, if you want to decrease your expenses, if you want to save more money, if you want to plan for your future, then try to get rid of your debts, particularly those like car payments. It'll help you greatly. So think differently about the cars and start by telling yourself the truth. Do you own it? Do you not own it? Thanks for watching. I hope this has woken you up when it comes to cars.